defended my peaceful husband from his controlling sister at dinner, left to protect our boundaries, leaving conflict-averse chaos behind. I'm a 34-year-old woman, and my husband, who's 32, is the youngest of his siblings. We've been married for just under a year now, and pretty early on I started noticing just how difficult and controlling his eldest sister, Haley, 37, can be. I remember how my husband warned me about her before I even met her, and the poor guy was on edge the first time he introduced us. I knew I had to make a good impression, so I went out of my way to be pleasant and courteous. To my surprise, things went well at first. We actually hit it off, especially when we realized we have a lot of mutual friends from working in similar fields. But the cracks showed up pretty quickly. Over time, I began to notice just how toxic Haley is with her siblings, especially toward my husband. He's peaceful to a fault, always steering clear of confrontation, which just seems to make her more comfortable bossing him around. She'd disrespect him openly, bark unsolicited orders at him, and constantly criticize how much attention he gives me, throwing around accusations that we're super codependent and that my husband needs to give me less attention. Honestly, we're not codependent at all, we just really love spending time together and prefer to do things as a team. Yesterday really put things into perspective, though. Haley was back in town with her boyfriend, she lives abroad, and we were all supposed to meet him for the first time. My husband was with Haley and her boyfriend alone for a while before the rest of us joined, his brother, his brother's wife, and me. On our way to meet them, my husband kept texting me, saying he felt like a complete third wheel. They barely included him in their conversation. When we finally met up to pick a place for dinner, Haley's energy was just chaos. She instantly started ordering us to call restaurants and check reservations, bossing us to go this way or that, pressuring us to hurry because it was getting late and she wanted to eat. In the car, it was my husband, Haley, her boyfriend, and me. My husband was driving, trying to keep things light while Haley joked and taunted him about how slow he was driving, persistently demanding he go faster, even cutting off her boyfriend mid-story just to nag my husband. Things escalated when Haley's brother and his wife called to say they'd already arrived, while we still had about 15 more minutes to go. Haley turned up the bullying, disrespecting my husband, loud and clear, for the boyfriend to witness. My husband kept his cool, clearly biting his tongue. The discomfort was palpable. Even Haley's boyfriend tried to smooth things over with, "It's okay, we're enjoying the conversation," but it made no difference. The final straw for me came when we reached the crowded area near the restaurant, and my husband tried to navigate a tricky U-turn through traffic. Haley demanded he stop right there so she and her boyfriend could get out and walk, even though stopping was totally unsafe. When my husband explained that he couldn't just stop in the chaos, she completely lost it, berating him for not doing exactly what she wanted, right when she wanted it. The mood? Absolutely ruined. My husband could finally pull over a bit farther down, and they got out. By that point, I was so upset I was on the verge of tears. My husband did his best to calm me down, telling me not to let it get to me, insisting he didn't care what she thought. I told him bluntly that the whole mood was ruined thanks to her, and I wasn't going to fake happiness just so Haley could have her way. We made our way into the restaurant, both in a terrible mood. Haley zeroed in on it right away and asked my husband, "Are you guys okay?" He just said, "Yeah, we're tired and hungry." Noticing I wasn't speaking to anyone, she pushed again, telling my husband, "If you guys don't want to be here, no one is forcing you, you can leave, we came here to have a good time." That was it for me. I looked right at her and asked, "What did you say to my husband?" She repeated herself, and I told her, personally, "Yes, I don't want to be here, and I will leave." My husband backed me up immediately, telling everyone, "Okay guys, we're heading out, enjoy the rest of the dinner. It was a pleasure meeting you, boyfriend." And just like that, we left. He agreed with me. Haley was totally out of line, but the whole situation has him stressed out, since he hates conflict more than anything. But I really believe setting boundaries is crucial. Sometimes you have to risk a fight for the sake of your sanity, and I'm not going to back down from that. Update 1. About a week ago, I found myself questioning my own sanity after an especially frustrating dinner with my husband's sister, Haley. I needed an outside perspective on whether or not I was right to walk out while she was introducing her new boyfriend to us, because her behavior toward my husband and me wasn't just uncomfortable, it was outright rude. I'm used to the whole family brushing off her antics, and honestly, it makes me feel like I'm losing my mind when I react. After that night, I sat down with my husband and told him I couldn't keep tolerating Haley's disrespect. What she did was way out of line. What bothers me even more is how she treats him, and although I get that he always wants to be the bigger person, I told him that someone needs to draw a line, and I'm not going to keep letting her cross it. He agreed. He said he would talk to her. The next day, they had a day planned with Haley's boyfriend, which, thankfully, I'd opted out of before any of this even happened. Before they headed out, my husband's brother, Jay, called to talk about what had gone down. Jay tried to defend Haley, saying she doesn't have bad intentions. I said, "Look, I never claimed she was malicious, but when someone is disrespectful, the bare minimum is to acknowledge it and apologize." After a lot of back and forth, the three of us decided Jay would ask Haley to have a real conversation about what happened before they went out, with Jay present. I told them point blank that I don't think I should be part of that talk, I'm not part of their family, and I have no intention of initiating anything with her. Later, my husband told me the conversation with Haley went really well. She was apparently super receptive and empathetic, told him she was sorry, and said she was worried that I'd judge her negatively based on just that one incident. He told her that I'm understanding and she could always reach out to me if she wanted. I congratulated my husband, but deep down, I was skeptical. I know how narcissistic people operate. She apologized to him only to save face and try to shape my opinion of her. Sure enough, she never reached out to me. My husband later hinted that maybe I should initiate, but I was having none of it. I freaked out. In what universe does it make sense for me to initiate that talk? If her pride is in the way, that's her problem. Then, just yesterday, after a long day at work, my husband tells me at 7:30 p.m. that his parents are hosting a family dinner at 8 p.m. to say goodbye to Haley, since she's leaving. There was no way I had the energy or the willpower for that, especially not knowing if there would be more drama with Haley, or what she'd do with her prideful stubbornness if the topic came up. I texted the family group, apologized for not being able to make it, and wished Haley safe travels. My husband went without me, and apparently at dinner, Haley brought up my absence. They all ended up going back and forth about it. As I suspected, Haley told everyone that she didn't think she'd been rude to me at all, and that she had no reason to apologize to me. My husband actually stood up for me and insisted that she had, in fact, been rude and owed me an apology. At that point, Haley suddenly twisted everything, claiming that since the day she met me, she's been trying to build a relationship with me, but I never reciprocate. Honestly, I have no idea what she's talking about. I'm the one who pushes my husband to give her more attention. I'm the one who convinced him to get her something personal and meaningful for her birthday instead of just boring flowers. Besides, how is that even related to the original issue here? I fully admit I've been petty by not initiating and by not going to the dinner, but at some point, it becomes a matter of principle. I told my husband flat out, if Haley doesn't want to reach out and talk, that's her choice. I'm not going to solve this for her. Update 2. Since some people thought I was overreacting or making things about me, let me explain exactly what happened from my perspective. The first time my husband and I talked about this, his sister Haley apologized to him for being rude in the car. She admitted it was wrong to tell us to leave the dinner table if we didn't want to be there, and she actually told my husband that she would talk to me about it. I thought an apology would be coming my way, because frankly, she embarrassed both of us at dinner, especially in front of someone we hardly knew. But things changed. She spoke with my husband again and suddenly decided there was no need to talk to me, insisting it wasn't actually rude to ask us to leave the table. This left me feeling even more unsettled, so I waited to see if she'd try to clear the air. Instead, Haley told both my Phil and Mill about what happened, painting herself as confused and the victim. According to her, I'm upset at her for no reason. She apologized about the car to my husband, and at dinner she simply checked if we were okay. She claimed I then just stood up and left the table without a word. That's not what happened at all, but thankfully my husband was there to set the record straight with his parents. Both Phil and Mill agreed Haley was out of line and told her at the very least, she should check in with me and reach out. Unsurprisingly, she refused. Since that day, I've heard nothing from Haley, except today, when she sent me a private message with information about someone attending an event I'm working on, acting like everything's fine and nothing even happened. It's clear she expects us all to just move forward like nothing is wrong. So now I'm at a crossroads. Do I simply send a thumbs up and keep my distance, treating her with the absolute minimum engagement from here on out? Or do I reply and lay it out honestly, saying something like, I know you don't want to reach out, so I'll clear the air. I don't appreciate how you treat my husband. If you act this way in the future, I will always be pissed, and I found it rude how you asked us to leave the dinner table in front of your boyfriend. If you think that's okay, that's your decision, but it means my relationship with you has to change. I am just so tired of all this. I want some peace, but ignoring the way she's acted somehow feels worse. Update 3. Ah man. I just got this text from her. Hi op, I'm sensing there's been a miscommunication. I spoke to brother/your husband and explained it when I was in country, but I guess it wasn't clear. That evening at dinner, what I was trying to tell you and brother/your husband is that if you are feeling tired, please don't feel forced. It's so half-assed I can't even believe it. After everything that's happened, this is what she sends me? I know how awkward that dinner was, and even since then, the way she skirted around everything has been infuriating. Now she suddenly tries to chalk it up to miscommunication? I'm just left sitting here staring at my phone, not sure if she's gaslighting me or just truly oblivious. What am I even supposed to respond to this? Should I call her out directly, or keep it civil? My head is spinning. Update 4. Well, here's how things finally went down. Emotions got the best of me and, honestly, I'm not sure if I made everything worse, but what's done is done. To give the whole picture, I recently realized Haley's initial message to me was even longer than I thought. I'd only caught bits of it before when I saw it in my notifications. Here's exactly what she sent me. Hi op, I'm sensing there's been a miscommunication. I spoke to brother and explained it when I was in country, but I guess it wasn't clear. That evening at dinner, what I was trying to tell you and brother is that if you are feeling tired, please don't feel forced to stay. I was feeling bad because it seemed that you guys weren't having fun. I understand that it was misunderstood in a different way and just want you to know that my intentions were good and coming from a kind place. Me and brother will not always agree on things and we may get into arguments, but they are never serious and we quickly figure them out. I hope you don't misunderstand this as well. Happy to speak more if you want, but because I don't want there to be any misunderstandings or resentment. Seeing that, my frustration just bubbled over. I figured it was time to stop pretending everything was fine. This was my response: hey, if you're going to chalk this all up as a misunderstanding from my end, then I don't know what to tell you. Here's the actual timeline. 1. You berate my husband in front of me and someone we just met. I bite my tongue from saying anything, respecting that your boyfriend is there and not wanting to cause a scene or make you look bad. Even your boyfriend was clearly uncomfortable and tried more than once to lighten the mood. Twice he told us, "It's okay, guys, I'm enjoying this conversation." But still, you ended that car ride by making a scene yourself and leaving the car. 2. I see my husband upset. I'm upset too, but we decide to just push through and go inside, mainly for your sake. 3. We're sitting at the table, still obviously upset. You notice. You ask him if we're okay. He says yes, we're just hungry and tired. Then you publicly announce that if we don't want to be there, you don't want to force us and we can leave, in front of everyone. He says no, it's fine. You repeat yourself, insisting we're all here to have fun and you don't want us ruining the vibe. He says again it's fine. You say it a third time, so I decide to speak up and ask what exactly you're saying. Again, you repeat, if you guys don't want to be here, you can leave. And again, everyone's listening. So we leave. If you think all of this only warrants a text 2 weeks later, telling me I simply misunderstood, then okay, I get it. It's between me and him, nothing to do with you. We're working out our issues, don't try to make it something between me and you. That's a line. I'm done with this conversation. Good luck. At that point, I snapped. I actually blocked her for about half an hour. But after cooling off briefly, I decided to unblock her and send one final message, even though I'm honestly just exhausted by it all. Haley, let me be clear, I have every right to be upset, and to intervene when anyone treats my husband poorly. And when someone disrespects me and tells me I can either change my mood or leave the table, I expect an apology, not blame shifting that I misunderstood. Otherwise, I'm not interested in engaging in a conversation with you. That's where I left it, with all the frustration, clarity, and exhaustion that's been building up. Update 5. Doors open, we're in full chaos, and my phone starts lighting up with calls from the front desk. Your sister-in-law is here asking for you. I told them I couldn't step away and to just treat her like any other guest. 2 minutes later, I turn a corner and there she is anyway, somehow already past the first checkpoint, standing in my hallway like she owns the place, boyfriend in tow. I swear I could feel my stomach hit the floor. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't even let mine shake. I just said, "Haley, I'm at work. I can't do this right now. If you need help with tickets, the box office can assist." She smiled like a pageant contestant and told me she came as an olive branch because she's leaving soon and didn't want to carry this into the next visit. Then she leaned in with that earnest look and said, "I meant what I texted. My intention was kind. You misunderstood." And just like that, we were back in the loop. I repeated myself, "Not here. Not while I'm working." I took a step aside to let my production manager pass with gear, and Haley just didn't move. "I'm trying," she said, louder this time, like she wanted an audience. "You can be gracious for 2 minutes." Her boyfriend, God bless him, put a hand on her elbow and quietly said, "Haley, she's working. We can talk later." She yanked her arm away, and that was enough for one of our venue coordinators to step in and ask to see her credentials. Humiliating. Exactly what I wanted to avoid. I told the coordinator she could stay if she went back to the public area and followed protocol. Haley looked at me like I'd slapped her. "You're really choosing to embarrass me at your job?" she said. "Is this the power trip you wanted?" That's when my husband walked in. He'd come to support me and didn't know any of this was happening. He took one look at my face and just said, calm as could be, "Haley, out of the hallway. Now." Op is at work. She rolled her eyes, muttered something about how dramatic we both are, and stormed off toward the lobby. Her boyfriend stayed back for a beat, looked me in the eye, and said, "I'm sorry," before following her out. I went straight back to my headset and my checklists and tried not to cry. The show went fine. My phone, however, did not. While they were still in the building, Haley blasted the family group chat with a paragraph about how I'd weaponized my workplace to keep her from apologizing. She wrote that she'd been willing to move forward but that I'd chosen to be hostile and cold. This part made me laugh out loud in the booth. I was only trying to protect the vibe. Protect the vibe, at my job. Before I could even text my husband to warn him, there was a new message in the chat. It was from her boyfriend. "I don't usually get involved in family things," he wrote, "but I was there today and I want to be clear that Op was professional and told us it wasn't the time to talk." I pushed to leave. Haley ignored that. The staff asked us to return to the public area, and Op advocated for Haley to stay and watch the show. No one humiliated anyone. Silence. For a solid 10 minutes. Then Haley replied, "This is weird," and accused him of taking sides. He sent one more message, "I'm not taking sides. I'm telling the truth. And for what it's worth, the way you spoke to your brother in the car the other night wasn't okay." It made me uncomfortable. I tried to say it gently then. I'm saying it directly now. I don't think I breathed for a full minute. My husband wrote, "Thank you," and Phil followed with, "Enough. No more of this in the group. We can all have dinner next week if people want to talk like adults." We wrapped the event, tore down, and I finally checked my phone again in the quiet of the loading dock. There was a separate text from Haley's boyfriend, just to me and my husband. It was short and honest. He said he'd been seeing versions of this since they started dating and had brushed it off as sibling banter, but the car ride and the dinner stuck with him. He said the thing in my hallway was a wake-up call. He watched me set a boundary twice and watched her push past it because she wanted control of the narrative. He apologized to my husband for not speaking up sooner. He added, "I'm going back early tomorrow. I don't think we're in a good place." By the time I got home, my husband had already been to his parents to drop something off. Mill was shaken. She told him she'd called Haley and told her she wasn't coming to the airport send-off, and that when Haley visits next time, there will be ground rules. She also told him something that knocked the wind out of me. Apparently, Haley had already spun this story to a couple of our mutual friends, that I had banned her from my event out of jealousy. Mill found out because one of those friends called her to ask what was going on. Mill shut it down. "She's not banned from anything," she said. "She just walked into someone's workplace and acted like a tornado." At midnight, after a day of posturing, Haley finally texted me privately again. "No miscommunication talk, no you misunderstood. Just this, I overstepped. I'm sorry for showing up at your job and for making it harder. I won't contact you for a while. I'll speak to brother when he's ready." I haven't responded. My husband wrote her separately and told her we're going low contact until there's a real apology for the dinner as well, to both of us, without the protect the vibe and you can leave spin. He said we're not relitigating it, she knows what happened. This morning, I woke up to a last message in the group chat from her boyfriend. "I'm flying out today. It was nice meeting everyone. I wish all of you the best." Then he left the chat. I don't feel triumphant. I feel like someone opened a window and a storm finally blew through. It's messy. It's loud. But the air is different. I didn't have to scream, I didn't have to make a scene. I just had to stop accepting the version of events she writes for everyone and hold the line. Update 6. I thought the storm had moved on. Then my work email pinged at 9:07 a.m. with a subject line that made my stomach drop. Guest incident, follow-up. Attached was a forwarded complaint from the night before. Haley had written that I'd used my position to humiliate a family member, that I denied access without cause and created an unsafe atmosphere. My hands actually shook. I didn't even get to finish reading it before my boss called my cell. "I've already pulled the cameras," she said, not even bothering with hello. "You're fine. I watched the whole thing with security. You told her twice you couldn't talk at work. You offered her the box office. Our coordinator escorted her back to the public area. You advocated for her to stay. Do you want us to flag her in the system as a restricted guest?" I had to sit down on the edge of my bed. She was so calm it calmed me. "Flag her to check in with the box office if she ever comes again," I said. "No ban. We're also responding to her complaint formally," she added. "And someone left something for you." She paused. "Her boyfriend, he handed a program to the box office and asked them to make sure you got it. I drove in early and picked it up. It was just our show program with one page folded and a note in a clean, careful hand. You handled that with dignity. I'm sorry. I hope this doesn't follow you at work." He'd left his number with a PS, in case HR wanted to corroborate. He didn't need to. They already had the footage, the logs, the staff statements. But I took a photo of the note and sent it to my husband anyway. He called me right away. He broke up with her, he said, voice low. At the airport. He texted me from the gate. He didn't want her to make you collateral when they untangled. He said he's been calling it sibling banter to himself and it's not. My husband and I went to his parents' house that night for that adult dinner Phil had floated. Just us four and a pot of soup nobody touched for a while. Mill had written ground rules at the top of an index card like a middle school teacher, and it would have been funny if it wasn't so sad. No showing up at people's workplaces. No public pile-ons in the family chat. No inviting third parties to referee. If someone says not now, that's the end of it. My husband added his own, quietly, if belittling starts in front of him, he will leave. Not argue. Leave. Phil nodded like he'd been waiting years to hear it. Halfway through, Mill's phone lit up with an overseas number. She answered, put it to her ear, and said, "We're at dinner. If you're calling to apologize to Op and your brother for the dinner and the car, I'll put you on speaker. Otherwise, not tonight." Whatever came through the line made her close her eyes. Then not tonight, she said, and hung up. I drove home lighter than I had any right to feel, and then my phone buzzed with an email. Not a text. The subject line was just my name, the body was short. No emojis. No talk about vibes or misunderstandings. I was disrespectful too, husband, in the car. I tried to control the evening. At dinner, I put you on the spot and told you to leave. You did not misunderstand me. I am sorry for humiliating you. I am sorry for making your work harder by showing up. I won't contact you again until you say it's okay. I read it twice because there wasn't a but hiding anywhere. A minute later, a second email came through to my work address, copied to my boss in HR, formally retracting her complaint. I was emotional and mischaracterized the events. It said, "Please disregard my prior email. The staff acted appropriately." No flourish. Just that. I didn't respond. I forwarded the first apology to my husband and sat on my hands. 10 minutes later, he sent a selfie from his parents' porch. He was smiling in this small, tired way that cracked my chest open. "We're okay," he wrote. "We can be okay." This morning, Mill called. She'd spoken to Haley. It wasn't a beautiful call. It wasn't a disaster either. Haley cried. She admitted the boyfriend had left. She said she was going to therapy for real this time, which I've heard before, but I also heard something I haven't. A pause before every defensive sentence, like she was biting down on it. Mill told her the ground rules apply to her next visit. If she breaks them, she won't be invited to group plans that week. Mill also told her the story spinning to mutual friends stops now. If she tries it, the friend gets a 3-sentence correction from Mill with the truth. By lunch, 2 of those mutual friends had texted me. "I'm sorry," one wrote. "I took what she said at face value. I shouldn't have." The other sent a screenshot of their chat with Haley, her own words retracting the band from the event line. It felt surreal to see her undo the story she'd just spent days building, brick by brick. Late this afternoon, there was a knock at my office door. My production manager stuck his head in and said, "You've got a delivery." He handed me a small box with my name on it and no return address. Inside was the playbill from last night, taped open to a blank page. Someone had left a fountain pen mark across it like a check mark. Beneath, in that same careful handwriting as the program note, another line, "The right kind of quiet is a choice." I don't know why that undid me the way it did. Maybe because so much of this has been loud and performative and defensive and I have been braced for the next wave for weeks. Maybe because a stranger I met at the worst moment of his relationship managed to say exactly what I've been trying to do. Either way, I cried for 5 minutes and then sent my husband a photo of the pen mark and he wrote back, "We are choosing it. Every day." Update 7. A week of nothing. No pings. No spin. Just the muted hum of normal life. We got good at it fast, morning coffee, shared headphones on the train, passing each other in the kitchen without the weight that had been there for weeks. I almost let myself believe that was it. Then Sunday morning, my husband's phone lit up with his mom's name, and he walked into the hallway to answer. When he came back, he looked like someone had knocked on the door in the middle of the night. Haley hadn't made her flight. Passport issue. She'd rebooked for the following day and wanted to give him something so it wouldn't sit in her luggage. Just him. In public. 10 minutes. He asked me if I was okay with that. I told him yes. He left with his headphones around his neck like armor. He came back with a shoebox I recognized. The lid was the same cracked plaid from their parents' basement, corners mummified in yellowing tape. Inside were photos their grandmother had taken, birthday cakes with slump frosting, tiny pool floaties, his first Halloween costume made out of a pillowcase. On top, 2 envelopes. One with his name. One with mine. His was a messy page in her round handwriting. It was unadorned in a way that made me feel off balance. She wrote that she'd taken the box from their parents years ago because she didn't trust anyone else to keep it safe. She wrote that she understands now what keeping safe had looked like to everyone else. She was going to therapy, for real, she said, and she understood I didn't owe her anything. Mine was 3 lines. "I am not asking you to forgive me. I am asking you to believe that I heard you. I don't want the last thing I said in your hallway to be the last thing." Under the envelopes, wrapped in a napkin, was a USB drive with a strip of blue painter's tape across it. Someone had written "clean slate" in thick black marker. We looked at it like it might hiss if we touched it. "What is that?" I asked. He shook his head. She said I'd know. We didn't plug it in at home. We drove to the grocery store and parked in that weird no man's land between the cart return and the retaining wall and opened his laptop on the console like teenagers. It wasn't malware or a trap or a manifesto. It was just files from a dashcam. A full hour from the night in the car. GPS coordinates in the corner, timestamp ticking coldly along while the 2 of us sat there and listened to my husband get picked apart like he was made of lint. There was the teasing. Then the edge. Then that tidy snap of patience breaking. Then her voice rising as brakes squealed across the mics. Then his, low and steady and trying to thread the needle between not escalating and not disappearing. There was the boyfriend's voice, exactly as I remembered, soft and a little strained. "It's okay, we're enjoying the conversation." There was my voice, once, not even words, just that tiny sound your throat makes when you're swallowing something down. We let it play to the end and sat with the laptop's fan whirring between us. My husband closed his eyes and I watched one tear track down toward his ear while he kept his face still. Then he blew out a breath and turned the screen toward me. The last clip was shorter. An angle from the lobby security camera when she showed up at my workplace. It didn't catch everything, no audio, but there we were, me with my clipboard, her with that fixed smile and her boyfriend a half step back, the coordinator stepping in, my husband entering the hallway like a wall. Even without sound, you could see the beat when she decided to push. You could see the beat where we didn't move. "She recorded it," I said. He shook his head. Dashcam auto syncs to her cloud. She told me she deleted her copies. She said I could smash this if I wanted. We didn't smash it. We slid it back into the napkin like it could catch cold and drove home without talking, both of us a little raw from hearing ourselves exist in someone else's narrative and knowing there was no way to pretend we imagined any of it. We put the drive in a drawer. Not because we planned to use it. Because sometimes reality is a kindness, even when it hurts. That evening, my phone buzzed with an email from Haley. No subject line. Just, I gave him the box and the drive. I'm leaving tomorrow. I won't post a thing, I won't message a friend about it. I won't contact you. If you ever want to meet with a therapist in the room, I will show up and sit and listen. If you don't, then please consider the box a promise that I will leave you alone. I didn't respond. I forwarded it to my husband and sat on my hands again. Half an hour later, his mom called to say she'd had her own version of the 10-minute coffee. Haley didn't cry. She didn't charm. She brought a manila folder with printed copies of the retraction to my work and the apology. She told Mill about the therapist's name. She asked for the ground rules in writing. Mill said she'd send them. Phil got on the phone after and said, in that steady way he has when he's done being the soft landing, we are not litigating history. We are enforcing the present. At 9 p.m., my husband's phone buzzed with a number we didn't recognize. It was the boyfriend. We put him on speaker and listened to an airport announcer replace every other sentence. He was calm. He had already shipped her things back. He wanted us to know that she'd asked him to meet before her rescheduled flight. He said no. He told us he found the USB in her center console while he was cleaning his stuff out and had handed it to her with, "You need to own this." He said she'd looked at it a long time and then put it in her bag. "I thought she'd bury it," he said. "I'm glad she didn't." He paused. "I'm sorry she made you feel like you were staging anything. Watching you in that hallway, it was like seeing someone draw a line in sand and realize concrete existed." He added, almost apologetic, "I hope she does the work. I hope you never have to think about me again. We won't be doing family dinners for a while. We won't be doing some big reconciliation lunch where everyone turns every 10 minutes to check the temperature. The quiet we chose is still the quiet we want." But last night, after dishes, my husband carried the shoebox to our coffee table and pulled out a photo of him with a party hat askew, frosting down his shirt, his little fists clenched around a plastic fork like he'd found a sword. He laughed in that small, tired way again and said, "I remember this. She told me I had to keep my shirt clean or we'd leave. I forgot that part. I remember the cake." He put the photo back and rested his palms on the lid. "I want to remember the cake." He looked at the drawer where the drive was. "And I want to remember that I don't have to prove the mess to anyone to know it was there." This morning, he forwarded me a calendar invite. Couples therapy, starting next week. Not because of her. Because of us. Because this kind of boundary feels like a muscle, and we want it to be something we can flex without shaking. A minute later, a second invite, family therapy after, if and when we want it, with a note from his mom, "I will be there if you ask me. If you don't, I will be here anyway." On my way to work, my phone buzzed again. One line from Haley, sent at 5 a.m. her time. I listened to it too. That was it. No defense, no addendum. I turned my phone face down on the seat and watched the city slide past my window and thought about that black marker on blue tape. Clean slate. I don't know if that's what this is. It feels more like we found the on/off switch for a light we didn't realize we could turn off. We didn't burn the house down. We're not moving. We just flipped it and let the room be dark for a minute while our eyes adjusted. Then we started moving again.